Oh, we love Tuesdays at 7:30. The modern day John Madden, man, he breaks it down better than anybody. And we're not listening to any writer who's never played the game of football talk about what Brock Purdy does is ordinary. Anybody could do that. No, we're going to listen to Brian Baldinger, a guy who actually played the game, the guy who actually studies the game, the guy who actually knows what's going on the whiteboard inside the locker room. Brian Baldinger, presented by our proud partner at Golden State, serving the Bay Area for 3 generations. Building better starts with Golden State. When you succeed, we succeed. Visit GoldenStateLumber.com. I guess this is a great starting point, Baldy. Good morning to you. Thanks for always joining us here. Heard somebody say over there on ESPN that, what Brock Purdy's doing in this offense is something that Mac Jones can do. Now, you were just in New England watching that offense, watching Mac Jones. And I don't like when people do this because it takes away from what Brock Purdy's doing and it takes away from what Shanahan is doing with Brock Purdy. But you watch Mac Jones in New England, and it felt like New England was trying to set football back 50 years with the way they played offensive football, Baldy. What Brock Purdy's doing is unbelievable, and it's time that people start giving him his credit, saying, place this quarterback in this offense because they could do it. We've seen a bunch of different quarterbacks in the 49ers offense, and they haven't done what Brock Purdy's done in his short time with the 49ers.
Well, good morning, Bonte and Joe. He's quickly separating himself, not just from, I don't even know how anybody could watch and see what he's doing right now and say anything is ordinary or plug another guy in there. I just don't see it. I mean, he's separating himself from just basically every player in this league. Mm-hmm. I mean, forget about the quarterback position. He's playing a position higher than anybody's playing any position in a game of football because football is, you can practice and rehearse and prepare and all that stuff is important. But nothing can actually take the place of the game where mistakes get made and you blink and you get hit. Like the speed of the game can't be duplicated in practice. And the speed that he plays the game at, he just took apart the number one defense in football. A team that had been living off turnovers, off of defensive touchdowns, and he didn't give them a chance once to have any of those kind of splash plays. And the guy simply doesn't make a mistake, which is just almost impossible to play the game like that.
I'm watching this guy, and early on it felt like maybe a little off, or if the defensive line stopped and got their hands into the passing lanes, it felt like they were trying to attack short. And then whether it was him, Shanahan, whatever, they adjusted, and they're like, we're just going to start throwing layered balls. That third quarter drive, anticipation, the multiple throws in a row. I was sitting in the end zone, Baldy, and I'm going, oh my God, like to understand where to go and drop a dime. I mean, it was a dime over the top of multiple defenders in the middle of the field in stride over and over and over again. And then they get the 10-yard called back penalty, and it doesn't faze them at all. And he just, here you go, Debo. Here's a ball right down the middle of the field. And then the kid will throw. I don't know. My jaw was dropped. And I sat there and I'm saying, that drive right there, that's as high of the quarterback play as you could see around the league. I know everybody, Mahomes, the unicorn. That's as good as I've seen from a Niner quarterback since Steve Young.
I agree. I mean, you throw all the other names out there, it doesn't really matter at this point. I mean, because the things that you're looking at, Joe, you're not deceiving yourself. You're not talking yourself into it. These are great throws in stride to Debo. I mean, he literally Velcroed a ball right to the right shoulder of Brandon Ayuk. I mean, you can't throw it any more accurate than that. But that being said, the middle of the field is what every single defense tries to take away. When the Seattle Seahawks were winning Super Bowls, they had the Legion of Boom. They ruled the middle of the field. Like, you're gonna beat us. You're gonna throw it outside the numbers. Right. You're gonna throw it to the flat. You're not beating us down the middle of the field. That's how every defense wants to be thought. We're going to intimidate you in the middle. We're going to hit you in the middle. We're going to take them. All he does is carve you up in the middle of the field. And by the way, that Dallas Cowboy defense, like, they're about as fast as it gets. Now, yep. I know they're without, one of their corners, but like, that's the speed of that defense is real. And you don't even notice it because of the way that they're attacking. And so I thought it was another just brilliant performance. But, the stats say that there's nobody even close to what this kid is doing right now. And then if you just see how unflappable he is throughout the entire thing, even, Joe, when you talk about, there's a little period there in the second quarter when they were just missing a few. Like, all you do is, like, I remember Andy Reid told me one time, It's a great line. He was talking about Donovan McNabb, and I was complaining about Donovan throwing balls into the dirt and killing worms and all this stuff. And he said, "You a basketball fan, Baldy?" And I go, "Yeah, you betcha, Coach." He said, "You like Larry Bird?" I go, "Yeah, I love Larry Bird." He goes, "You know what Larry used to say?" I go, "What's that, Coach?" He said, "You shoot to get hot and you shoot to stay hot. You just keep shooting. That's what you do." And I feel like that's what Brock does. He just keeps shooting. And, whether you go through a series where you want to throw back or whatever, you're just going to keep firing. And that's kind of what they keep doing right now.
And the way Shanahan is utilizing this offense with all these weapons and calling the plays for Brock Purdy, you talk about that defense, because that was my first takeaway. I was like, wow, this Dallas defense is fast. Like, I didn't see speed like that on the defense side of football, and we have a great defense out here in the Bay Area with the 49ers, which we'll get to in a second. But that flea flicker they ran, the double reverse, the flea flicker, using their speed against them because they were being aggressive, I think that's a hallmark of with Shanahan right now, is that he is calling the plays and he's filling it out. I think he's doing his best coaching job so far through the first 5 weeks of the season.
Well, that play, it's really pretty interesting, Bonte, because the key to the play is honestly Brandon Ayuk. Like, he runs a full-speed route, and he takes both Cowboy safeties with him. So, literally, you're playing a 9-man defense against that speed. If Ayuk doesn't – now, he knows he's not getting the ball. It's not coming to him. It's not made for him. But his job is to, literally to occupy those safeties 30 yards down the field, which he does. And so when Kittle comes open down the seam – and the throwback to Brock, it's just set up perfectly. The Cowboys bite. You hope that they bite. They kind of react the way you wanted to. But I thought Ayuk clearing the thing out like that really opened it up for Kittle. And it became actually a pretty easy throw for Brock to make that one.
You've really obsessed over Trent Williams and how great he is. I feel like this young kid, Banks, has just played better and better and better. If he's out for a period of time, how big of a loss is that for the 49ers? Because he got the bicep injury, correct?
Upper bicep injury. They don't know the severity of it yet, but whenever you hear biceps,
how good of a player is he? Compared to all the other guys that you're watching in his position, because most fans don't really understand line play.
Well, first of all, he's wide, really wide. And wide. If you put five 4-foot wide asses together, that's 20 feet of space. Just the space that he takes up is important. But then he can move. They run, the 49ers, unlike a lot of these teams down this league, they run a lot of power football. And when they run power, they run Aaron Banks. And McCaffrey sticks it right up behind him right there. And he clears out a lot of, a lot of space. He clears bodies out of the way. But then, he's just fit in perfectly between, Trent, and what they have right now at center with Brendel. It's just a really good fit that he has in there. And, there's a lot of continuity in how they block, because very few of these plays are actually blocked the way you draw them up or the way that you walk through it. Sometimes you just got to, like the old coach used to tell me, just be a football player. You just got to figure it out. And he has a good ability to figure it out on the fly, whatever the play is. And, being able to get, your hat on another guy's hat or the right angle or whatever it is, he's got a really good feel in there. Now, Feliciano went in there, and John's been in this league a long time. He's mostly played center. He played center for the Giants last year. But, if you're the backup, you got to swing center and guard. So it's going to be probably a little bit of an adjustment in there for him when he goes in. He hasn't played in an offense like this yet, although he was in Buffalo when they were pretty good. But, this is a little tricky in how you get to the second level and what you're expected to do.
Yeah, and then playing the Cleveland Browns in his defense, man. No easy task for Feliciano if he does have to step up and gets Myles Garrett and company, something we'll get to a little bit later, Baldy. But this defense here, if it wasn't for T.J. Watt, I think Fred Warner would be the runaway DPOY. But T.J. Watt is just out there winning games by himself. He put on a masterclass in Pittsburgh against the Baltimore Ravens, ended the game with his helmet off. He's yelling at the crowd, terrible towels waving. But how about Fred Warner? This guy just gets better and better and better, Baldy, and it feels like prime time is his time, and he had a day for himself. Forced fumble, sack, interception. Fred Warner's doing everything you want. It was a masterclass on how to play middle linebacker, Baldy, in my opinion.
I'm trying to figure out the right words here, Bonte, because, first of all, I think the word, honestly, that comes to watching Fred play is just joy. The guy plays the game with absolute joy. Like, first of all, he knows all the checks. He's going to get all the audibles out. You want to change your formation, you want to motion, you want to shift, all that stuff. Like, he's on all of it. And he's loud. You can hear him, And so there's no breakdowns. But then, you got to play this game with violence. You just do. But, like, it's a joyful violence. It's like, I wish I could run through defenders like that. I wish I could just blow plays up like that. I wish I could just go full speed like that with not an ounce of fear. No fear, all joy. That's my description of Fred. And I don't know, like, if you just wanted to go to the stands, you're sitting in the end zone, Joe, with your dad the other day, and you just wanted to watch a player, like, just pick a guy out and go, I'm just going to key on this guy. You would never go wrong if you said, I'm just going to watch Fred Warner. Like, you would have the time of your life.
Yeah, and the other guy alongside of him is Dre Greenlaw, and I mean, he suplexed a couple of guys, and it just, he brings a physicality and a nastiness and a speed, the closeout speed on the perimeter. I mean, look, Willis and Bowman are like the high honor marks here in this area, right? Those are the combinations that we look at. They set the gold standard, and I'm not saying that these guys are better than, but boy, they sure are great. And I wonder how many people appreciate how great they are. I mean, do you? And I seen you put out a video about it.
Well, I mean, a couple things, Joe. Like, I think they're the best tandem right now. I mean, you could say Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen. You go around the league. There's tandems in this league that are really good. I don't think any tandem is better than Dre and Fred right now. But, on a week where we lost Dick Butkus, like I said, that hit me when we lost because he was the original gladiator. Like, that was the position in pro football that was the marquee position. Ray Nitschke, Dick Butkus, the whole defenses in this day was built around the middle linebacker. And I just felt like if Dick Butkus was watching the 49ers play defense, like on Sunday, he would watch with the utmost joy and the utmost pride, going, that's how we played in Chicago. That's what the Monsters of the Midway look like in Chicago. And I feel like we just tied like 5 eras of football together watching the 49ers play defense on Sunday.
Wow. Brian Baldinger here on the Morning Russ on 95.7 The Game. They just made a trade last Friday for Randy Gregory, former first-round pick, went to the Cowboys, was with Denver, has all the potential in the world. What are the 49ers getting in Randy Gregory here, Baldy?
Well, I mean, it's like, look, Randy's had issues, a lot of issues off the field. Going back to Nebraska, everybody has tried to unlock his potential and the talent. There's talent there, raw talent. Does he really want to play football? Now the 49ers are going to find out. They've got as good a defensive line coach there is. There's a culture there. There's a particular way to practice, prepare. You show up. Like, you just don't walk into a meeting a minute before it starts and you open up a notebook. Like, this is a full-time commitment. And I have not yet heard or seen that from Randy. If you get it, it shows you a lot about the 49ers and the culture and what this is all about. I think they're just taking a flyer, honestly, saying we've got nothing to lose here. There's no loss. Like, if he doesn't fit in, he doesn't fit in. If he doesn't want to be a 49er, there's a certain commitment you got to make to be a 49er. And there's enough leaders in that locker room that can help him if he needs help, to keep it like on football. And if he doesn't, he doesn't. So to me, like, there's just an upside to this thing. I mean, they could put him on the street tomorrow if it doesn't work out. But there's an upside to this if he wants to really play the game.
Yeah, does that add an element to this defensive line? Because, like, I'm looking at it, like, Bosa, I mean, thought Bosa was everywhere, and Hargrave has been outstanding. I thought Armstead had a really good game, and they haven't really done anything exotic yet. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of Hargrave and Bosa, they haven't really needed to. So does that add an element to this defensive line? Because they feel very, very, very deep.
Well, they are deep, but, they're built on depth. I remember, I think I told you this last year, but I remember I had said during a week that Max Crosby was my defensive player of the year, and I just happened to be doing a game in San Francisco, and Bosa walks by and he bumps me with his shoulder, and all he says under his breath is, "So you think Max is the MVP?" So I said, "Yeah, Nick, I do. I think he plays every single snap." And he goes, "Yeah, that's fine." He goes, I can do that too, but I'm trying to win a Super Bowl. So, what Nick's saying is, like, they're going to rotate their defensive front because it's about winning in January and ultimately winning in February.
Right.
And so you got to pace these guys. You can't keep Nick out there the way the Raiders keep Max out there every single snap. He could do it, but they need reserves, and you don't want to have any drop off. And so Cleveland stepped up a little bit this year over what we saw with the Raiders, and maybe they get that from Randy Gregory too, where they can keep these guys on a fresh rotation, throughout a 17-game schedule and hopefully 3 games in the postseason.
Yeah, everything's looking good for the 49ers. Bosa's playing well. By the way, Mad Max, you mentioned him. He was a menace last night. He's fun to watch for the Raiders, man. He gives everything he got. Now, looking at the Cleveland Browns, because this is a big game. Cleveland coming off a bye week after getting destroyed by the Baltimore Ravens. We're not sure about the availability of Deshaun Watson. They may have some offensive line issues here with some injuries here. But Myles Garrett is over there. We talk about Bosa a lot. We talk about Mad Max and TJ Watt. Myles Garrett seems to turn – it seems like Jim Schwartz is bringing the best out of Myles Garrett here, Baldy. How has he played so far in 2023?
Well, they rebuilt their defensive line, so they got Zadarius Smith. They got Oko from Houston. I mean, they've got pass rushers right now. They got an excellent secondary. Excellent. I mean, these guys, Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson, like these guys can play sticky man coverage. All right, and then Schwartzy is a guy that knows how to dial up blitzes, knows how to change things up. So, and, Myles has moved all over the place. He's been over the left tackle, over the right tackle. He stands straight up over the center, and he's there, like, ready to do a crossover dribble on you. Like, they're moving him around, which is smart. I just worry about – I don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson, honestly. He's a healthy scratch in the last game in Baltimore. They needed him. They put a rookie out there, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He wasn't terrible, but he's a rookie. Right. He made some mistakes. I'll say this about Cleveland offense, no matter who's that quarterback. Like, this is a bombs-away offense. Like, they take deep shots. They're not very good at hitting a high percentage of them, but they get defensive pass interference calls. They get illegal contact calls. Like, they take shots. And you've got to be ready. Like, you're the safety. You're Travarius Ward. You're these guys on the edge. Like, the ball's going down the field. With this offense. And so they're going to run the ball, they're going to play action pass and take their shots. And if Watson's in there, he's elusive enough to buy time, to get away from Nick Bosa. That's what I would say. And one of the things that I liked about what Stefanski's doing this year is, because I believe you got to constantly attack. You mentioned something, we were talking about 49er offense. I feel like there's 5 or 6 offenses in this league right now. San Francisco, Miami, Kansas City, Philadelphia. If you're 2nd and 18, you get a holding call on first down, you're 3rd and like, it's okay. Like, 2nd and 18, I'm watching Patrick Mahomes against the Vikings. It's 3rd and 18, it's okay. Yeah. Like, Mahomes he's got a 33-yarder to Justin Watson against you. Like, some offenses are just built to attack. And I feel like the 49ers are like that, and the Browns want to be like that. They're just not as consistent yet to be able to play that style.
We got a chance to see TJ Watt, Micah Parsons. We obviously get a chance to see Nick Bosa every single time. What does it look like when you're going up against Myles Garrett for Niner fans? We know the name, but we don't play the Browns all that often. So, like, what does it look like?
Well, nobody has the power of Myles Garrett. Nobody in this whole league. Like, I mean, maybe Nick. Maybe Nick is right there, but Myles Garrett, if he wants to just steamroll you, he can steamroll you. But he's also got a nasty 2-hand swipe. He's got a spin. He's got all the counters. So if you set for power, you want to short set him, he's slippery. And then he could turn the corner like a Bugatti, honestly. Like, just a modern day Bugatti. Like about 3 feet off the ground and just coming full speed. And like, it's a challenge for Trent. Trent's going to get his hands on you and he's going to give up a little bit of ground. He's going to try to drop the anchor. But even Trent, as good as he is, that's a challenge if you get enough rushes like that. And, McKivitz is going to see him on the other side too. Mm-hmm. So, but he's going all over the place. He's like back in the day, Fred Dean played for the 49ers. He'd find whoever had the cleanest uniform on in a game, he'd just line up with a clean uniform and get you dirty. Like, Myles would do the same thing.
Yeah, this Cleveland secondary does concern me, though, Baldy. Their defense is legit. What do they have left in the backfield? Because it feels like everything stems off their running game. And they obviously lost Nick Chubb on a Monday night game. We hope Nick Chubb gets well. He's one of the best running backs in this league. But what this Ford kid, he looks good at times. I don't know if he's a full-time back. And then Kareem Hunt, they picked him back up after spending a couple years. Does he have anything left in the tank? What does Kareem Hunt look like right now?
Well, Kareem Hunt he's basically Pacheco is what he is. Like, he's just a guy that's going to run through contact. He runs really hard, really angry. Like, he spins on contact. He's really strong at the point. So, you gotta tackle the way the 49ers tackled the other day. Tony Pollard got nothing. Yeah. He's a good back. He got nothing against. Like, it was just crisp, clean tackling the whole day. That's what you got to do to Hunt. Ford shows ability, especially in the passing game. Mm-hmm. Like, he could be an effective 3-down back. He's 220 pounds. He's got power to him. They lean on him really hard. They got a rookie right tackle. I call him the Pacific Manta. His wingspan is the longest wingspan in the NFL history. He can put his left hand in Cleveland, his right hand in Pittsburgh, and he's playing really good. But I'm sure that Nick Bosa wants to let him feel his punch,
right,
and see what he does to him.
No, yeah, this offensive line is impressive, man. I think this is going to be a tough game. We thought last week would be physical. Cleveland's a very physical team. I know they got smoked by the Ravens, but I think there's going to be a body bag game, Baldy, if you know what I mean. Where are you going to be at this weekend? I know you had to sit through New England and watch the Saints beat them up. Where are you going this weekend, Baldy?
I'm heading to the Jets and the Eagles this week. Jets played some lights-out great defense last week in Denver, albeit it's Denver, but they're really good. They're really good defense, really good, and their offense. Breece Hall might be the best home run hitter in this league right now. So they've got a certain style they got to play, but at least for the fourth week in a row, probably for the first time in years, they're going to line up the same offensive line and they're getting a little better up front. Should be a pretty good contest, I think. Anything
concerning with the Eagles and the red zone woes or whatnot? They're undefeated. I'm looking at them saying, boy, they're in the trenches. They're strong. But a lot of people saying they're not clicking on all cylinders. Before we let you go, Baldy, what's up with Philly?
I think every team. Right. It's October 10th. I mean, no team is complete right now.
Right.
I know this. When you're led by Jalen Hurts, you're well led.
Yeah.
Like the guy, he could shake off anything. They're 5-0. Doesn't mean anything, honestly. They were 14-3 last year. They didn't finish the deal. They're there to finish it. They'll be tested with the Chiefs and your 49ers. Like, it's good. There's some big games coming up, but you can't be a better leader than Jalen Hurts. Yeah. Like, the guy just is everything that you want at that position. And so whatever bugaboos they have offensively right now, like, they got a good staff and they've got good players to figure the stuff out.
No doubt about that, Baldy. We always enjoy the conversation. Our roasters do as well. Have fun watching the Jets and the Eagles. That'll be another physical game, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yep, look forward to it, guys. Enjoy it, man. Take care.
See you, buddy.
Baldy breakdown here on the Morning Roast with